let's talk about the All-Star Game roster because there's a couple surprises on here, and there's one really big storyline coming out of the All-Star Game that I really want to talk about because I just don't understand the thinking behind it. So let's quickly just run through the roster. American League, you have Cal Raleigh, Vlad Guerrero, Gleyber Torres, Jose Ramirez, and Jacob Wilson, catcher, and then your infield. Your outfield is Aaron Judge, Riley Green, Javi Baez. DH is Ryan O'Hearn. Your reserves, catcher Alejandro Kirk, Jonathan Aranda, Alex Bregman, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Brandon Lau, Jeremy Pena, and Bobby Witt Jr. are infielder reserves. Outfielder reserves, Byron Buxton, Stephen Kwan, Julio Rodriguez, and then DH Brent Rooker. Pitchers, you got Hunter Brown, Chris Bubich, Garrett Crochet, Jacob deGrom, Max Fried, Yusei Kikuchi, Tag Skubal, Shane Smith, Brian Wu are your starters. And then your relievers are Aroldis Chapman, Josh Hader, Andres Munoz. Anything stand out on the American League side of things?
I thought that the American League roster was decent. I don't think anything's ever going to be perfect. I thought Jazz Chisholm getting in was quite interesting. We had talked about it as a possibility on the show, I believe last week or the week prior. It was just on a normal year, he's not in. The AL second baseman pool was just so terrible that Jazz could miss a month and get in. But I know a lot of people were pretty upset about the fact that he had made it. Is what it is. I think it's not undeserved, but really fun to see Javi Baez get in as an outfielder. Just kind of the way his career has turned out. So those were the things that stood out to me.
Just Jazz Chisholm. Like I just feel like because you don't really think of him, I guess, having like a crazy good year. No one's really
I think of him having a crazy good year.
I know, but you don't hear. I'm not saying
he's just
saying,
crazy productive when he plays.
Yeah.
He just missed a month. The Yankee fan of me also wants to bring up Carlos Rodon not being one of the pitchers. But I don't know if that's just the Yankees fan of me or if that's like a real legitimate snub.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. He's definitely deserving. Cody Bellinger is also deserving to be in that conversation. And you look at a guy like Julio Rodriguez, he has a .69 OPS. How are you an all-star with a below average OPS?
And they have Wu and Munoz, so it wasn't even just to get a member of their team on.
They have Cal Raleigh.
Oh, yeah, duh. Brain fart. We're recording at 11 p.m. Give me a break, people.
So Julio being on the roster doesn't make much sense to me, especially because take out Bellinger, there's other more deserving options.
Yeah. No, I would agree there.
And then you go to the National League side of things. Your catchers, Will Smith. First through third, Freddie Freeman, Ketel Marte, Francisco Lindor, and Manny Machado. Outfield is Ronald Acuna Jr., who's actually just pulled with some back tightness, so that's going to be interesting to see. Pete Crow Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, DH Shohei Ohtani. Your reserves catcher Hunter Goodman. Infielders Pete Alonso, Ellie De La Cruz, Brendan Donovan, Matt Olson, Eugenio Suarez. Outfielders Corbin Carroll, Kyle Stowers, Fernando Tatis Jr., James Wood. DH Philly man Kyle Schwarber. Your pitchers are Matthew Boyd, Mackenzie Gore, Clayton Kershaw, who let's talk about him in a second. Freddie Peralta, Robbie Ray, Chris Sale, Paul Skeens, Logan Webb, Zach Wheeler, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Then your relievers are Jason Adam, Edwin Diaz, and Randy Rodriguez. Now there are some guys that are starting to trickle in and replace other starters. We'll cover them in a little while. But I really want to talk about Clayton Kershaw because he's not somebody who was selected by the players, the fans, the coaches. He was put on the roster as a Legends pick by Rob Manfred. Well, how do you guys feel about that?
So the NBA did something similar to this a few years ago. And they had generally saved it for players that were on retirement tours. So I believe the first time they did it was the year Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki retired. And it was, again, similar to now how baseball is the All-Star game in basketball is just for show and for fun. It doesn't count for anything. And they just wanted to get some of the better players all time in their sport in the game. And that's cool. I have no problem with it. When I saw it, my immediate thought was, I didn't know that Clayton Kershaw was retiring this year. And then, as we discussed pre-show and I looked further into it, I don't see anywhere that Clayton Kershaw is retiring. And now I'm just kind of the mindset of, are we just openly playing favorites if we're the commissioner? Are we just openly trying to win over the most popular team in terms of the Dodgers fan base and give them another all-star as if like they needed one? I don't want it to be seen as disrespect to Kershaw because obviously he's one of the game's all-time greats, but if he's not retiring this year, this is ridiculous in my estimation because why is Max Scherzer? Why is Justin Verlander not just legend picks? Because they're of the same stature of Kershaw, basically.
It doesn't make sense. It's if he was retiring, I get it. But even then, like All-Star game nods are a stat for Cooperstown. It devalues it when you add a legend pick. You can make him an ambassador to the All-Star game where he doesn't get a nod as an All-Star, but he's still honored and part of the festivities. But to put him on the
I don't
roster,
even hate the legend pick if he was retiring because obviously all-star numbers matter, but Kershaw's had so many that one more or one less, I don't think really changes the way you look at him at this
I was
point.
going
But
to say that.
but if he doesn't retire next year, are we just going to give him a second legend pick again?
Right.
Like are you just going to start stacking them at this point would be my concern.
maybe this is them encouraging him to hang it up. Like, hey, you got your legend pick. This is your he's on a 1-year deal with the Dodgers. Maybe they tell him that they're not picking him up. He's not going to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, healthy, they don't have room for him in that rotation, if we're being honest.
Now we also have two guys that are added to the All-Star game: Cincinnati lefty Andrew Abbott and Padres reliever Rangers Robert Suarez. They're
Wish he was
replacing
Rangers.
Yamamoto and Chris Sale are both not participating. So they're getting replaced, and I'm sure we'll see more of that. Who's your biggest snub that you guys kind of see?
Oh man,
Yeah, I think
it's Trey Turner. Trey Turner.
Oh.
Trey Turner. No, and me and John.
Suarez possibly too.
Me and John have been on this for weeks now. Trey Turner is a ridiculous snub to not even be on the roster, I think. Trey Turner is currently 8th in baseball in F-WAR, which is actually higher than Lindor and Ellie De La Cruz, so it's higher than both of the shortstops in the NL. Trey Turner has been better defensively than both of those guys this year, I would say.
Actually, Lindor and Turner have the same amount of errors, but Ben will sit here and say Lindor is better.
Yeah, I would say that they've been the same. I would also say that Trey Turner's been the engine for the Phillies team. You could certainly make that case for Schwarber as well, but as Bryce Harper has missed time, Trey Turner has really stepped up and started living up to what the expectation was for him coming to Philadelphia, and I think it's a shame that he's not in there. Similar to the way that the AL figured out a way to get Bobby Witt Jr. in, I think that the NL should have found a way to get Trey Turner in. Because I look at this team and I look at their all-stars. I mean, legend pick, sure, but you look at some of just their infielders, and this is no shade towards these people, but in terms of their reserves, but Brendan Donovan, Matt Olson, Eugenio Suarez, give me Trey Turner over all of them. Those are bench pieces. They're not starting.
It's just insane when you have a guy batting almost 300 on the season and batting almost 300 with runners in scoring position, leading the league in hits with shortstops as Trey Turner has, and he's not on the team.
Yeah,
that's insane. Like he didn't even make it to second round of voting either, which is absolutely crazy too.
I mean, that was just the Dodger fans voting Mookie Betts.
Yeah, and what's crazy to me is when I do look at the starters or even like the bench players, I know that each team has to get somebody on the team, which I do think is a ridiculous participation trophy rule, which is how Kyle Stowers got in. But man, if I'm a Dodgers fan, I'm kind of pissed that Andy Pages didn't get on this team. Like in terms of a more deserving All Star from this point of the season, like Pages deserves to be on that roster at
Yeah.
this point in time. And listen, I don't want to be the guy that comes up here and goes to war for the Dodgers, but that's another snub that I'd be mad at.
How about the guy that leads baseball in RBIs?
Yeah, that's not a
Seiya
good one.
Suzuki with the Cubs leads the league in RBIs with 77.
That's
He's not-
crazy too.
That's I thought you guys were going to go there and not Trey Turner because I think that's the biggest
Well,
snub.
we've been hammering the
We've been
Trey
ha-
Turner, so
Plus, I'm a Phillies fan. I'm not a Cubs fan.
Now,
But
I also think Juan Soto had an argument. I don't think that he is a massive snub, but I do think that he had an argument. I think that
Yeah.
despite his batting average, the analytics will show that he's been a pretty productive player this year. And then we talked about Rodon a little bit earlier, but I think if you are looking at it, Rodon with a 3.3 ERA at this point, he's been pretty solid this year. I think he certainly could have made the push. Again, this could just be the Yankees fan in me, but a 3.3 ERA, 127 strikeouts. That's good enough for sixth in all of the majors right now. He's been really, really solid for the Yankees, who have needed him to step up. A 2.2 WAR, which isn't really that amazing. But also Christopher Sanchez on the Phillies. You
what
were
about
saying
Ranger
Ranger Suarez.
sub 2
I,
ERA?
I would take Sanchez over him just because Suarez hasn't pitched as much, and Sanchez has really held it down. A 2.59 ERA, 7-2 record, and a 4.1 WAR at the pitcher position. So the Phillies get snubbed a few times. The Dodgers, even in their midst of having a billion All-Stars, somehow one of their more deserving players doesn't get on the team.
Honestly, I blame the Phillies fans for all these players getting snubbed because they didn't vote him in the first. They didn't vote Trey Turner in and stuff because I've never seen a team's fan base hate their star players more than the Phillies fans do. Absolutely insane. First in the NL East, I think like second or third in all the NL, and they just hate the team. Absolute insanity.
it's kind of funny, but it's just that Philly mentality of what have you done for us lately?
Stupid.
Well, what has Trey Turner done for you lately? He's carried you in the first half of the
according
season.
to the Phillies fans online, Trey Turner's batting like just above 200 runners in scoring position, but he's actually batting almost 300. So I don't know.
Well, isn't Trey Turner also
He's leadoff.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
Trey Turner's the guy who's on base.
I
Trey Turner is the runner in scoring position most of the time.
and he's still batting almost
I mean,
300 with
He's batting
runners.
299 with 11 homers from your leadoff spot, second on the team in homers in your leadoff spot. He has
Yeah.
39 RBIs, which again isn't very high, but it's good enough for fourth on the team at leadoff. He's got 22 stolen bases at this point in time, so he's on pace for close to 40. He by far leads the team in WAR with a 3.1, a 798 OPS. Like at a certain point, guys, 61 runs,
And they couldn't get him to the second round of All-Star voting.
No.
Yeah, Ben made a case for Ellie last week, and I Ben's not on to defend it, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. But I think Trey Turner, I think Lindor starting over him is fine. It wouldn't have been my ballot, but I don't have a massive gripe with it. But to me, they were the clear 1 and 2.
Now, if you had to kick somebody off the roster to get Trey Turner on, who would it be? It looks like it would have to be between Ellie De La Cruz and.
I mean, if I'm allowed to just kind of throw a little bit of the positional out the window, Brendan Donovan would probably be the guy that I remove, and he's having a fine season. I think he's the only All-Star for St. Louis, if I'm not mistaken. So
he is kind of locked in.
Technically, I'm not allowed to get rid of him, I suppose. I would remove Ellie then. But is he the only All-Star for the Reds? No,
No.
Andrew Abbott,
Mm,
who just was
Just got
added.
added.
Yeah.
So Ellie out,
It might
Abbott in.
And it's like Ellie will make the All-Star team plenty of times in his career.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
I
like-
don't like that reasoning in
Me
terms
neither.
of if he was having a better season than
But if
Trey
you had to remove
Turner,
a guy,
but I just think that Trey's having a better season than him, and that's why we should remove him for Trey Turner. I also think like you could, if you wanted to keep Ellie, you could move Eugenio Suarez because again they have Corbin Carroll in the reserves, they have Ketel Marte
Or-
is
starting.
Corbin Carroll hurt still?
I mean,
Is he even going to be able to play?
I didn't see a replacement for him, but
Not
he's an
yet.
outfielder, so they won't replace him with Trey.
Or you can replace Trey Turner. You can replace Kyle Schwarber with Trey Turner, right? Why do you need a backup DH?
You could, and I
That's
wouldn't
true.
mind that either because I would stand on the point of I think that Trey's been better than Schwarber this year, but it's close.
I was honestly a little bit surprised Schwarber made it, honestly.
I mean, it just shows how weak the DH role has been.
Yeah.
Who do you guys think is going to be the pitching matchup?
The managers are Dave Roberts and
Aaron Boone.
Boone. How did Boone get it?
He was in the World Series last
World
year.
Series.
Oh, is that how they do it now? They don't do
Yeah.
best record.
No, it's just whoever the.
I don't know if they ever did that.
I mean, who it should be is Scooble should start, but since it's Boone, maybe he'll give it to Fried.
See, I think Fried is like the third option because I feel like Crochet might deserve it a little bit more than Fried too.
No shot Boone goes with a Red Sox pitcher over
No, I mean
Fried.
it's got to be Scooble.
Yeah, it's got to be. It'll be Scooble then Fried. I mean,
You
it's
think they just
it's
throw-
Dave Roberts, and there's a legend pick for a reason. Like, do you not just throw Clayton Kershaw out there to open the game? Like what are you gonna have him pitch the fifth inning as your legend pick? Like, I don't know. Like,
I don't think he should get any action at all. He didn't earn it.
I mean, it should be Skeen Scooble. That's who it should be.
I have a hot take that Skeens might not be the right one for the NL.
What?
What do you think? I'm thinking I may be Wheeler.
Wheeler's who I'm
I'm
thinking.
thinking Wheeler.
Why?
Wheeler has been awesome this year. Skins has been great. Don't get me wrong, but I think Scooble Wheeler might be the move. Let me pull up Wheeler's stats here.
Disagree. I mean, Paul Skeens 1.94 ERA, Zach Wheeler 2.17 strikeouts. Wheeler leads 148 to 125. WAR Skeens 4.8, Wheeler 4.8. It's close. I guess I would still lean Skeens.
It's a lot more of a competition. It's a lot more of an argument than you thought.
It's more of an argument than I thought, but I also think if you're baseball man, you want it to be Skeens. If I'm Rob Manfred, I want Skeens Judge first inning of the All-Star game.
Then again, if Pittsburgh isn't going to do anything, what does Skeens do starting that helps you market more than Zach Wheeler in Philly? Unless he's going to be tossed around as a trade option.
We know that he ain't spending that career in Pittsburgh. We know.
I mean, it's not like Libby Dunn's from Jersey and is a big Yankee family.
When Paul Skeens is wearing that Dodger hat in 1 year, we know.
Dodger hat.
Yeah, listen, I think Skeens, I think if I'm Rob Manfred, I want it Skeens Scooble. If I'm Dylan Mel, I want it Skeens Scooble. If I'm Dave Roberts and Aaron Boone, I might just say, like, screw it all. Clayton Kershaw, Max Fried.
Honestly, that might be a bigger story than Skeens.
Aroldis Chapman versus Edwin Diaz. Dual openers.
That'd be something.
Listen, I just don't think baseball could pass up on the opportunity of Skeens Judge again.
We also got to look at, when these guys' spots in the rotation come up because these guys are not going to be gifted by their managers. Or maybe Skeens would be, but Scooble's in a race for the pennant.
Yeah.
They're not going to skip a start to let him start the All-Star game, right?
Well, they're only going to get an inning.
Right. So maybe they'll try to set it up where it's his throw day, but if it's not like a day he would normally throw, they might not want to risk it.
I mean, you could throw
But-
an inning.
We thought that in the past and have seen guys not throw an inning because their managers were asked to not.
I mean, if I'm Aaron Boone, I'm throwing Scooble the whole game. I'm the manager.
Putting Crochet at shortstop just to mess with him up a little bit.
Yeah. Best of luck, pal. No. But I think you can get an inning out of these guys. I think if you are baseball too, like you don't want to see these guys not pitch.
Because if that's the case, like, and you're just having these top
If that's
pitchers
the
sit
case,
out,
like,
what's the point?
Yeah,
Then?
sit out and let somebody else pitch. Then that like wants to be in the game.
Yeah.
Like, don't just go there and then not play.
Any predictions for who's going to be the All-Star Game MVP? Well, how about this? Which side's going to win, and who's the MVP?
Oh, it usually just takes one good hit to be the MVP.
Yeah,
I like it's not my prediction, but the funniest outcome is AL Javi Baez. I'll say AL, and I'll say Josh Hader has a 1-2-3 ninth to close out a 4-3 victory and wins the MVP.
John.
Hear me out here. NL wins, and it's going to be Genio Suarez is going to be the MVP.
Future Yankee.
I have a feeling he's gonna hit a game-winning home run.
I'm going AL, and I'm going to go Brent Rooker. I think it'd be really funny to see an A win this. And I feel like he's going to hit a homer or a double late to knock in a big run.
Fair enough.
I really wanted to write Jazz.
I think that's also one of the funniest outcomes. The guy that like so many people don't think should be in it wins the MVP.
Exactly. Before Boone announced today that Jazz was going to play second base exclusively, and he was our third baseman, it would have been really funny if he decided to play him at second base during the All-Star game.
Yeah, great move, Boone. Great move.